Okay guys, so when you click on today's assignment, you see that it is pages 435 and 436 in your math book. And as a reminder, that first part of the assignment is going to almost always be some kind of review, not something new for the day. And then the second part of the assignment, or usually the second page, is going to be the new part for today. So you can tell from here that page 435 is ordering decimals. It says place the decimals in order on the number line below. So for this page, what you're doing is you're trying to figure out where the numbers go on the number line. All right. So for example, if I'm looking for number 1, 1.9, I know that that's between 1/2 and 2. Oops. Between 1/2 and 2. I know that between 1/2 and 2, like right there, between 5 and 10, that's about 7.5. So I know it has to be pretty close to the 2. So I would want to put it here. Okay. Then if I look at 0.284, I know that 0.2 comes before 0.5. And I know that halfway would be 0.25, and so I know that 0.284 would be a little bit after that. So because this is review, I'm not going to spend any more time on it, but the idea is that you can put them in order. Okay? On the actual assignment, the way that I have you enter that may seem a little bit strange, because basically I have a letter A, B, C, D, E, F, G all the way to L, because there are 12 of them. So my suggestion is to put them in order on the number line, and then you'll be able to enter them quickly on Canvas. If you just go to the page and try to start putting them in order, it's going to be a lot harder. So follow the directions, which is to do it in the book first, and then go in and you'll be able to put them in easy peasy on Canvas. All right. The second part of the assignment is on page 436, and it's a little bit like how we worked yesterday, where we're trying to look at the fractions. We look at a whole distance, and then we see that people have not gone the whole distance, they've only gone part of the distance. So on page 436, it says use fraction bars to show your solution to each problem. Write an equation for each problem. The super bicycle race is 120 miles long. And remember, I don't have you drawing pictures or anything like that on Canvas. You're just entering the answer. But it's a good idea to try to use the bar if that helps you. If you find the bar is more confusing and the picture is more confusing to you, then don't use the picture. I'm not making you do that. So let's take a look at number 1. Keeping in mind that the directions say that the whole race is 120 miles long. So if the whole race is 120 miles long, and at the end of day 1, Nora has completed half of the race, how many miles has she gone? So this is half. Some of you might already know the answer. If this whole bar represents the entire race, then this is 0 miles, and this is 120 miles. So then you ask yourself, what's half of 120? And some of you already know the answer. If you don't already know the answer, you can ask yourself, what plus what, or what times 2, would be 120. But what I want to show you right now is the fractions way to solve it, since that's what we're really here doing. If I'm going to do it here so that you can see it. If I have 120 miles, and so far I've completed half of it, that equation is 120 times 1/2. And we talked yesterday about how 120 times 1/2, I can put my 120 over 1, and then suddenly it becomes very easy, because when you multiply fractions, you multiply the numerators and you multiply the denominators, and then you reduce. So 120 times 1 equals 120. 1 times 2 is 2. And now I'm dividing 120 by 2 because I have to reduce and I can't leave it there. And if I reduce this, 2 goes into 12 6 times. I still have my zeros left over. 2 goes into 0 0 times. And my answer is 60. And some of you knew that it was 60 as soon as I drew the picture because you said half of 120 is 60. Okay, when you're entering the answer on Canvas, it's a good idea to just enter the number 60. I'm going to show you how to do the next 3 problems, but I'm not going to give you the answers so that you can do those yourself. But I'm going to help you set them up if you need it. So if you feel like you've already got it and you don't need any more, you can go ahead and press pause and go do the work. And then if you feel like you need help, you can come back to it. Or if you still feel like you need more help with the assignment, I would do the assignment as I go along. But remember, I'm not actually going to be giving you the answers right now because it's still an assignment. So at the end of day 1, Stuart has completed 1/4 of the race. How many miles has he gone? So if I divide my fraction bar into 4, it's still the same race. It's still 0 over here and 120 over here. Stuart has done this much. So I have to figure out how much this piece is worth. There are lots of different strategies for that. I'm going to show you one. 120 times 1 over 4. That's a strategy that I can use. Number 3 says, at the end of day 2, Nora has completed 5/6 of the race. How many miles has she gone? So it's still the same race, 120 miles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. And all of this is done. She's almost done with the race. 5/6. Again, lots of strategies you can choose. The one I would use would be multiplying the number of miles there are altogether times how much she's done so far. And that's how I would solve number 3. I'd make sure I reduced too. Number 4. At the end of day 2, Stuart has completed 2/3 of the race. How many miles has he gone? 2/3. Starting here, finishing at 120 miles. So it's still 120 miles. And Stuart has completed 2/3. And those are some of the strategies I can use to figure out how much they've done. One thing you might notice when you multiply fractions and whole numbers, when you multiply 2 whole numbers like 6 and 3, you get a bigger number than 6 and a bigger number than 3. You might be noticing that when you multiply a fraction times a whole number, you get a smaller number. And that's because you're multiplying it by a piece. You're not multiplying it by a whole number. So sometimes when you multiply, you actually get a smaller number. So go ahead and make sure that for today's assignment, you do pages 435 and 436 in your book, and then head over to Canvas and enter your answers. The best way to enter the answers on Canvas for page 436 is to just enter the number. If you enter the word, make sure you spell it right, and there are a lot of factors that go into whether or not it counts that right or wrong. If you get the answer right but you enter it incorrectly, I can fix that, but it's just easier if you enter just the number, okay? And if you've got questions, I'll give us some time in Thursday's math class to ask those questions, all right? Good luck!